Hey everyone, welcome back to Liberal Breakdown. Today, we're diving into some serious concerns about the U.S. role in Greenland, following recent comments by Vice President J.D. Vance. And let me tell you, these statements are raising some red flags.
Simple. You have not done a good job by the people of Greenland. You have underinvested in the people of Greenland, and you have underinvested in the security architecture of this incredible, beautiful landmass filled with incredible people. Denmark hasn't done a good job at keeping Greenland safe.
So let's break it down. Vance came out swinging, criticizing Denmark for not doing a good job at keeping Greenland safe. He argued that Denmark hasn't been investing enough in Greenland's security, especially with growing threats from Russia and China. And while there's definitely some validity to discussing security concerns in the Arctic, what bothers me here is the underlying tone of U.S. intervention. It's easy for the U.S. to point fingers, but the truth is this seems more about flexing power than genuine concern for Greenland's well-being. The U.S. has its own interests in Greenland, particularly with its military presence, and I can't help but wonder if this is just another step toward exerting more control over a region that should have the right to determine its own future. One of the biggest issues here is the implication that the U.S. is positioning itself as a kind of protector, even suggesting that Greenland may one day become independent from Denmark, and the U.S. would be ready to step in. What about Greenland's own agency and autonomy in this process? Greenlanders have the right to make decisions about their future, whether that means staying with Denmark or pursuing independence. And it's concerning to see the U.S. seemingly pushing an agenda that could undermine that. The people of Greenland deserve the freedom to chart their own course, without feeling pressured by a superpower to align with its geopolitical interests. I find it troubling that instead of respecting Greenland's autonomy, the U.S. seems more interested in building a strategic relationship, possibly at the expense of the island's sovereignty. Let's also talk about the underlying issue here. The U.S. wants to secure its interests in the Arctic, particularly military bases, and keep a close eye on what Russia and China are up to. Sure, there's a genuine concern about global security, but is this the way to go about it? When Vance criticizes Denmark for allegedly neglecting Greenland, it feels like a veiled attempt to make the U.S. the dominant force in the region. This isn't just about security, it's about asserting control in a way that might not be in the best interest of the people who live there. In the end, we have to ask ourselves, is the U.S. truly acting in the best interests of Greenland, or is this just another case of geopolitics taking precedence over the self-determination of a small but proud nation? Greenland deserves the chance to define its future without outside interference. The people of Greenland should not be pawns in a larger geopolitical game, and I hope we see more focus on their voices in these discussions. Let's take a quick look what the people of Greenland have to say.
We don't know what he's going to do tomorrow, maybe. So,
but are you afraid?
Of course, every minute, yeah, every day, every morning you wake up. What did he now decide to do? Or what will we hear from him now?
What do you think about J.D. Vance's visit to Greenland?
I don't know how to say it. I think it's a bit intimidating because in this time we want to protect our land.
Vance is landing in a place that belongs to them, but I think this whole issue of visiting while we were still negotiating a new coalition is not respectful behavior for an ally. I think it's a shame, but now we have a government and we need to roll up our sleeves.
The people of Greenland are now speaking out, saying they're actually scared that the U.S. might take control of their island. And honestly, I can't blame them. Now, here's where things get real. The people of Greenland have made it clear. They do not want the U.S. to take over. In fact, a recent poll showed that a whopping 85% of Greenlanders oppose joining the U.S., with only 6% in favor. That's not even close. And it's not just about the numbers. People living in Greenland are genuinely scared. They don't want to be pawns in some geopolitical chess game between the U.S., Denmark, Russia, and China. Their fear is real. And when you've got an American vice president basically hinting at taking more control, it's no wonder they're worried. Meanwhile, Denmark isn't staying silent. Their foreign minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen fired back.
I have a message for our American friends and all others who are listening. Much is being said these days. Many accusations and many allegations have been made. And of course, we are open to criticism. But let me be completely honest. We do not appreciate the tone in which it's being delivered. We respect that the United States needs a greater military presence in Greenland, as Vice President Vance mentioned this evening. We, Denmark and Greenland, are very much open to discussing this with you, with an open mind. Today, NATO's security guarantee also covers Greenland. But we very much welcome if NATO and allies would play a greater role in the Arctic. We will shoulder our share of the responsibility. No one should doubt that. I am pleased that the Vice President today emphasized the right of the Greenlandic people to determine their own future. This is important. Just a few hours ago, a new Greenlandic government took office with strong support from the population and a strong desire to develop the Greenlandic society in close collaboration with Denmark and with the Danish government.
Saying Vance's comments were totally unfair. Denmark has been investing in Arctic defense, and they're not about to let the U.S. just rewrite the rules. But is that enough to calm tensions? At the end of the day, Greenlanders want one thing: to decide their own future. Not the U.S., not Denmark, not Russia, not China, just them. And the fact that they're even afraid of a possible U.S. takeover speaks volumes.
The US base is vital to America's missile defense systems, because if Russia ever targeted the US with ballistic missiles, the shortest route would be across the Arctic. President Trump has said he wants to take over Greenland for security reasons. And yesterday he repeated his territorial ambitions.
We have to have Greenland. It's not a question of, do you think we can do without it? We can't.
The president's refused to rule out using force, leaving many here in Greenland angry and anxious.
Trump made it crystal clear. He believes the U.S. must take control of Greenland for international security. He's talking about Russian and Chinese influence in the Arctic. But let's be honest, this isn't just about security. Here's where things get real. Greenlanders are speaking up, and their message is loud and clear. They don't want U.S. control. They're worried about losing their sovereignty, their culture, and their right to determine their own future. One Greenlandic leader even said, "We don't want to be a bargaining chip between global powers." Let's not ignore what's really at stake here. Greenland's vast natural resources, its strategic military location, and the Arctic's growing geopolitical importance. Trump's push for control isn't about helping Greenlanders. It's about U.S. dominance.
He believes what President Trump really wants is a deal to build more military bases in Greenland.
He's not evil man.
You also think he doesn't really want Greenland to become part of US territory?
It's about negotiation tactic. This is because he's a businessman, so I trust him. He's a good man.
Greenland's foreign minister told us they're open to talking about having more US military bases here. And it's possible that President Trump's tough talk is simply a negotiating tactic.
What Donald Trump wants is a deal. It's about negotiating tactics. It's about business. That's what the Trump supporter thinks. Oh, so this is just a business deal? Just another art of the deal moment? Look, if this was simply about opening more military bases or securing a defense agreement, why are Greenlanders worried? Why is Denmark pushing back? Let's not forget, Trump already floated the idea of outright buying Greenland back in 2019. He literally said it would be a large real estate deal. And now suddenly he's talking about how the U.S. must take control of Greenland? Call it a business deal, call it negotiations. But when a powerful country starts talking about how it needs to take control of a smaller one, yeah, that's not just business. That's pressure. That's power play. And the people of Greenland, they see it for what it is. So what do you think? Should Greenland be free to decide its own future without outside interference? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's make sure these voices don't get drowned out. If you found this important, hit like, share this video, and subscribe, because these conversations matter.